What's happening, YouTube? Anthony on Power Rangers Lost in Galaxy fan film with a brand new Lost in Galaxy 2014 review. And today we're taking a look at Hasbro's Marvel Legends Spider-Man No Way Home, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man with the one, the only, the OG Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man from Sam Raimi's most beloved trilogy about the wall-crawling superhero. Tobey is my childhood Spider-Man. I had to get this figure. Got the figure a while ago alongside upgraded suit Spider-Man from Far From Home. So I got a Far From Home Spider-Man and I got No Way Home, but basically Legacy Spider-Man showing up part of No Way Home because, you know, for someone who has been a long time Raimi Spider-Man fan, you know, there was no telling because, you know, when No Way Home was announced and they were going to delve into the multiverse, let alone a live-action Spider-Verse, and doing a crossover of the previous two live-action iterations of Spider-Man, with Tom Holland's version being our third live-action, cinematic-wise. You had villains like, you know, from the Raimi movies, Green Goblin, Sandman, and Doc Ock returning from Tobey's movies. And then you got, from Andrew's movies, basically just Lizard and Electro. If No Way Home had a sixth villain, they easily would have pulled off a Sinister Six. But since, you know, Mysterio in the beginning of No Way Home had what was just basically archive footage of his supposed death at the end of the last Spider-Man going into this one. Again, for those who have seen Far From Home and No Way Home respectively, simultaneously, you know, after one another. And Mysterio could have been in Spider-Man No Way Home if he had not, you know, died, but we could have got to see a Sinister Six happen. We almost could have seen it happen in a live-action Spider-Man movie, but they decided to do more like an Insidious 5, basically 2 villains from Andrew's movies and the 3 most iconic villains from Tobey's movies. Now, why did I say Sandman being iconic? But anyway, so owning a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man figure in his original red and blue colored glory with Raimi's style of webbing and that iconic mask and that iconic front and back spider design, it feels like home. It feels like coming back home after so many years since we last saw this rendition of Spider-Man. Because again, this is the very first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man toy I've gotten in over 18 years, pretty much, because this ain't the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man I got from Hasbro in his red and blue getup. Way back in 2007, 2008, when Hasbro still had toys for Spider-Man 3 out in stores, back when I was starting high school, I only collected one action figure of Tobey Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3, and it was an okay figure for what it was. I don't have that figure anymore, but I knew that eventually one day, if there was ever collector grade figures of like the Raimi trilogy, one day I'll probably get something more higher end and higher quality compared to what I had that were kid and teen grade toys when I was growing up back in the 2000s. So now here I am in 2025 as of this video, and knowing Spider-Man No Way Home is 4 years as of next month, because 2021 was not so long ago since No Way Home now, as of this recording. And we got Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out in July 2026. And now, had No Way Home came out in July of 2021, well, by that point, movie theaters were slowly opening back up, but we were still in the big V, the plague that is COVID, and you know, it's just, again, they didn't want to put it out in July because it wasn't worth the risk going to the theater seeing it in July 2021 as Sony and Marvel wanted. So they decided to just push the movie back another 5 months before 2022. 2022 being the 20th anniversary of Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man. Believe it or not, because as a matter of fact, 2022, 3 years ago, I did go see Spider-Man No Way Home while it was still in the theater in January. You know, and usually I don't even go to the movies in January, but I just had to see No Way Home to see what the hype was all about, seeing Tobey and Andrew again, but mostly Tobey. But, you know, because you got his villains back, you got Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin back, you got Alfred Molina as Doc Ock back, and, well, even though Thomas Hayden Church only voiced Sandman, even though he was CG, because, again, you know, Spider-Man No Way Home was riddled with, of course, the COVID restrictions during filming of the movie. That's why two particular villain actors from Andrew's, from the movies prior to Tom's couldn't appear fully because, you know, they didn't want to contract COVID during filming. So yeah, it's understandable now. Yeah, here we are, 2025, and we're still in those times. But yeah, but like, you know, I was happy to see my childhood Spider-Man come back. With the 30 minutes of screen time he was given, realizing No Way Home is Tom's Spider-Man. Tobey had his time. Even though no matter how much we're hearing rumors and bells and whistles about a potential revival of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 ever in the works. And, you know, Spider-Man 4 was canceled 15 years ago. The original version of the movie that we were kind of all going to get in 2011 until Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man reboot commenced and Tobey was out. But again, Tobey will always be Spider-Man to me. I mean, I like Andrew and I like Tom, but Tobey will always be the one and only friendly neighborhood Spider-Man movie-wise to me, because you know how much I love Raimi's movies. I love Tobey's Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I always loved that suit. I've always loved the look of his suit, and I loved his storyline throughout the three movies he did. Even regardless, again, say what you want about Spider-Man 3, about Bully Maguire and the emo dance and all of that stuff that he was doing, but again, Spider-Man 3, I know I've been ranting enough, just gushing about the return of my, you know, childhood Spidey in action figure form by Hasbro themselves. If this was still a Toy Biz, you know, Tobey Spider-Man. Anyway, here's the front of the package featuring the artwork to, you know, be based on No Way Home, and, you know, with the merchandise, with the color layout and everything and graphics for that movie, and with the No Way Home logo on the top. And here's Tobey's Spider-Man with only two accessories, hands and the mask. Then we take a look at the back, which features the full artwork of the three Spider-Men during the big climax with the villains when they were trying to get them back to their worlds and stuff, but Sans won the Green Goblin because he was still, you know. So with that being said, about info about Tobey Spider-Man, our friendly neighborhood hero swings into help with his fellow Spideys in his iconic suit. You damn right, that silver webbed up is. But again, we'll talk about that mask because again, I've talked about it back in my black suit review. With that being said, this is his gift and his curse, and it's time for Tobey to finally come back. So let's unbox and take a look at his figure. Okay, now that we got friendly neighborhood Spider-Man out of the package, he only has a few accessories, but basically very little. Well, one of the interchangeable hands is already applied in his hands, hand sockets already. But here's one of his SWIP hands when you want to shoot out webs, and then here's a bald fist, which is just one bald fist that was actually with the figure initially, and as prepackaged. So that was about it, and you can see the one of these hands already installed in the hand socket. Now we definitely need to talk about this because again, the changing of the web on the bottom of the so ever since No Way Home came out, and when Tobey Spider-Man was going to come back, I don't even understand why the heck they had to change, moderately change the webbing on where his mouth and nose is, because like that's not really accurate to how his that's not accurate to how his mask looked at all prior in his movies. I get it. Now with Tobey back as Spider-Man, for, the MCU with this multiverse stuff, I mean, it makes sense because, his Peter Parker has been through a lot after 2007 and throughout the trilogy in the 2000s. So you would think that with him returning, it was like, enough time passed and he needed to update his suit to be more, somewhat up to date. He still has this same old signature look, and things were definitely going to change with his design a little bit. They still kept the eyes somewhat the same. They kept the webbing the same to a degree. But it's just, of course, the only thing that was changed was the bottom of the mouth. If this is some type of rights issue between, Disney and Sony, and, incorporating the Spider-Man the Spider-Man movie characters from the prior films prior to the MCU, but especially with the Raimi movies and bringing back Tobey's Spider-Man, you're going to modify and change that mask a little because enough time has passed after the 2000s since he last had the suit. And the last time we seen Tobey Maguire in a Spider-Man movie, long after Spider-Man 3. I mean, if this is the kind of mask they could have used if Spider-Man 4 was a thing, I could see that. But, with a moderate change like that, because so much time has changed, so much has passed, and I really don't like the way how they changed and modified his mask a little bit. When Andrew Garfield returned long after the Amazing Spider-Man 2, 11 years was enough time. No, what was it? Let me see. 15, 16 years for him was enough time. At least Andrew's suit still remained the same as usual, nothing different. But I just don't understand why for Tobey, why did y'all have to mess with the mask a little like that? I mean, the rest of the suit has always been since we last saw him wear that suit in Spider-Man 3. But I don't understand why the heck they had to change the mask, really. And it was no different with the black suit, which we'll go over later. We'll go over. And again, when they did the black suit release, they did the same thing. Like, I don't know why the heck they had to modify the mask to be based on when Tobey came back, this time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the grand MCU itself. So why change the mask a little bit? And this is supposed to be an older Peter Parker. And now, considering they did base this Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man off of Tobey, but this is supposed to be him now in his late 40s, early 50s, because knowing Tobey as of 2025 just turned the big 50 on June the 27th, because when No Way Home was shot, given how he had aged long after Spider-Man 3, Tobey had really aged to a point. His hairline receded, but they still trying to make him look like his 30-something self back in 2007. And it feels like they're trying to make him look like his Spider-Man 3 from 2007 self, didn't they? Because it's supposed to look like his No Way Home look. Like, No Way Home, his hair was a lot way more thinner than that now. And his entire hairline was thinning and receding because he was getting older. And Tobey started growing like a 6 or 7 o'clock shadow on his face when he came back into the role, first time in a long freaking time. I like this figure of Spider-Man that is Tobey's, but I'm like, they really should have just made him look a little bit more like his, in film appearance with the shadow. But no, they don't want a Tobey Maguire Peter Parker look a little rough and rugged for a more modern action figure by Marvel and by Hasbro. So they decided to go by what they thought was close based on from past renditions of him for toys, and thought, okay, let's just do that. And I need that money. Okay, well, if this was the wrestling figure, I mean, it just came to me. And basically when Hasbro did some changing and some retooling to the figure, they made him exactly like how he looked back then. And now with the light up a little bit, you can see him a little bit way better. He still just looks more like his 30-something self when he did Spider-Man 3, because given the longer lines of hair from that movie, they just didn't make him look a little older enough. Because if his body looks like, his body's been worn out and he looks way older than he actually looks, because he got that gut and back and everything, like, my back, but still like, oh, my back, I'm getting too old for this, my back. But still, they should have still I guess that's how they wanted to do them. And plus, the suit is exactly how it always been since we last saw it. Of course, it's going to be modified for MCU's sake, and very, very much how his suit always been. But though, the red is okay, but I'm not really falling on the blue on this figure. The blue looks very violet or igloo type, you know, and the blue on Toby's suit was not like this, and I don't know why Hasbro went with this shade of blue. It's just overall the figure, you know, is what it's worth. It's fine, but you know, as someone who is a fan of Tobey Spider-Man, I had to get this figure, just like I did Bully Maguire and his black suit. I mean, nevertheless, I missed the part where that's my problem. Okay, yeah, okay. If this was still black suit Spidey, but you know, or the wrestling suit, I get it. Okay, I just had no choice but to get that reference out. So now that we take a look at Tobey's head, yeah. I mean, it's a good authentic likeness of Tobey Maguire. All right, let's take his head off. Take the head off the ball joint. Okay, ball joint. You're not taking his head off, so I can put the mask on. Yeah. Okay, and then on to putting the mask head on the joint. Yeah, see, here's the thing with these ball joints. I'm scared I'm about to break the joint, and I'm going to have to buy another one, and that I don't want to do. I really don't want to do. Knowing I paid about like $40 over the summer to get this hard to find friendly neighborhood figure, and that's not good. I don't know why the ball joints on these figures are so hard. Anyway, it's just maybe that's just how I'm installing the heads onto the joints of the head of the neck. There you go. It's not my best work, but you get the deal. And so you have Sam Raimi Spider-Man as is, but you know, I just don't like the change of the mask on this Spider-Man. It's no different like if I were to get a, you know, McFarlane DC multiverse Batman from the Flash movie with Michael Keaton's Batman. Of course, you know, I like the way how they modernize Keaton's Batman suit, but when you modernize a little of Tobey Spider-Man, you keep the suit the same, which is great because, you know, I love the Raimi suit. But man, but again, they tempered the mask a little too much. And if they're going to do new figures of Tobey Spider-Man in Marvel Legends for like a legacy collection, like with the X-Men movies, yeah, but don't worry. We may got Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but I also have, of course, plenty of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine to go along when I get around him next time. Trust me. So yeah, here's Tobey Spider-Man, you know, fully suited up. And put the mask on and everything, see how he looks, and you know how much of how iconic Tobey's suit is. So it's far from perfect. I mean, the web is good, the webbing is, you know, on point, but the coloring on the red is on point. I'm still not fond of the blue, and I wish that the back spider had a little bit more red. It looks a little too dark, but I wish that the red on the back spider was a little brighter than that. But again, the colors on this Spider-Man can look a little gaudy. I know there was that 3-pack featuring the 3 Spider-Man that you had to get from Hasbro Pulse or something, but at that time when it was released, I couldn't afford it, so what can you do? So let's take a look at his articulation. So his head turns all the way, all directions, and tilt his head up. And, well, again, I don't think I had that head on right, though. Then you got, you know, Tobey Spider-Man doing one of his signature webbing because, you know, he only does organic webbing while Andrew and Tom does mechanical webbing. You can't do that, huh? and then just do, okay, then elbow crunch. So you got an elbow crunch for, you know, Tobey. And then an elbow crunch, since he has finally gotten that pinless joint treatment as with more modern Marvel Legends. So, but when Hasbro did earlier Raimi Spider-Man figures back when Spider-Man 3 came out, everything was pin jointed, pin joint, but for No Way Home and everything going forward, pinless joints. Then we take a look at his abdomen crunch. His abdomen crunch is also pinless jointed. So you got this amount of it's apparent that showing all of this make it look like, hey, look, I've been fat. Oh my God, I ate too much of that pizza last night. Okay. But then we got to talk about the legs. His legs is not good, which is a bit of a problem. Yeah, I missed the part where that's my problem with the legs, and it's the same with Black Suit Spider-Man, and let's see that comparison, because again, they're both, I mean, again, both same figure, but of course Black Suit Spider-Man did had some change in engineering to the sculpting on the abdomen area, while this was what this has always been. So put Black Suit away a little bit, and then let's take a look at the leg. So for the knee crunches, I didn't do this prior to the filming, so here's his knee crunches, pinless jointed, and then ankle pivot on this, you know, this foot and this leg. But his right leg is just like, I don't know, it's just weird. Then you got the elbow crunch on this leg, and then ankle pivot on this leg too. Then that's about it. Now let's stack them up with, let's stack up Tobey Spider-Man with Tom, you know, Tom's upgraded suit, until I get the integrated suit Spider-Man of his from No Way Home. So that'll be that. So all that leaves now for the trinity of live action Spideys is Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, mainly from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, because again, of the two Spidey suits Andrew Garfield had, I've always been more fond of his Amazing Spider-Man design, more Spider-Man 2 design, than Amazing Spider-Man 1, which I'll delve into later. And then we have to pair, you know, classic Raimi red suit with the Raimi black suit. You know, again, they're just the same figure, but you know, there are some modded differences that I didn't point out in my black suit review from earlier, so I should have thought of earlier. And now that I have both those suits, and again, I'm so pleased to have some new Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy related stuff in a long shot. Now let's put that black suit away. So, in final thoughts, this was a good rendition of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, although it has its imperfections and issues that were pointed out earlier. And so, but again, I'm happy that I have a new figure of his Spider-Man. That's all I'm saying. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time.